All right, Ryan, we are live on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. So, hello, dear friends. Thank you very much for joining our live session. And today's session will be dedicated to the National Let's Laugh Day, which is an unofficial US holiday, and it's celebrated every year on March 19th. And this day actually encourages people to laugh. And for this reason, we invited a special guest speaker today, the representative of the US Embassy Bishkek, Ryan Bartlett, and who will make a presentation about Let's Laugh about the English language. So, dear friends, enjoy our session and let's laugh together. And now I would like to give a virtual floor to Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for joining us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the introduction and the kind words. Hello, everybody. Hello, Bishkek. Hello, Kyrgyzstan. Hello, anybody else who's watching. Welcome to Let's Laugh Day. This is actually the official date is tomorrow, but we're celebrating today. And really, you should celebrate Let's Laugh Day every day because we have all heard the saying that laughter is the best medicine. But today is the official day to take your medicine, which is laughing. It's very good for you. Today we're going to focus on some humorous aspects about the English language. I don't know if they're going to be hilarious for you, but hopefully they'll get at least a chuckle and you'll find them amusing. All of you, I think, are probably studying English on some level. Hopefully, I'm giving you some tips and some ways to remember some kind of funny, strange things about the English language. In the past, I taught English as a foreign language, and so some of these things I remember from my days of teaching. But most of these ideas were not mine, although they're humorous, and I hope you enjoy them. But talking a little bit more about laughing and why that's important, well, some studies have shown that laughter may actually boost your immune system, right? Which that's very important these days. If you can do anything to boost your immune system, we want to do that. So laughing has been shown to actually physically improve your immune system, and it relieves tension by helping you relax, right? So when you laugh, your body physically uses lots of muscles, right? Your stomach, your face, sometimes your body. Different people laugh different ways, but just think when you laugh really, really hard, you're kind of laughing with your whole body. So it actually relieves a lot of tension and helps you relax. And who doesn't need those things in our life right now with our busy and hectic schedules? So I'll just share one quote with you that I really enjoyed about laughing. This is from William James. He said, "We don't laugh because we're happy, but we're happy because we laugh." Right? So think about that for a minute. It's an interesting idea, but I totally agree, right? So I think by laughing a lot, it just helps bring up your mood, right? It's kind of obvious, but yeah, let's see if we can laugh a little bit more today than normal. Okay, Aida, we have a presentation that we can bring up. Something I threw together that has some examples of some kind of funny things about English. All languages, of course, have funny things that are amusing to learn about. But as all of you, I think, are trying to improve your English, well, some of these things will hopefully be amusing, and even more so will be useful in putting things together. So yeah, this is for Let's Laugh Day, and yeah, the English language is funny for sure. And by funny, sometimes we're talking about humorous, hilarious, but sometimes you use the word funny as you've seen in English. Funny is like, it's strange, right? It's different, it's odd, it's curious. So there's different kind of meanings and uses for funny. And I think all of those will apply today, as you'll see. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. All right, so here's one thing to think about. If you replace the letter W in the questions what, where, and when with a T, then you'll have all the answers to your questions, right? Kind of strange, but again, kind of funny. So, right, if you replace the W in those three, what we call WH question words, then you'll have your answer, right? If you replace W in what, you get that. If you replace the W in where, you get there. And if you place the W with T in when, you get then. So I'm not sure how useful that is, but just kind of a funny thing that I came across, that you can play with the words and turn your questions into answers with just one letter. Okay, next slide. All right, so as you all know, pronunciation is difficult, right? When you're learning any foreign language, pronunciation is one of the most difficult things when you're learning a language. And the unique thing about English, unlike a lot of other languages, including Russian, I believe, and also Spanish is the language that I've spent the most time studying. The letters in the English language, they don't all have one sound, right? So when you read a word, it's not obvious how that word is pronounced. Here are some examples of how frustrating pronunciation can be. The first one is laid, is pronounced like paid, but not like said. Right? It looks like it should be said if you're following that pattern, but nope, it's said. And said is pronounced like bread, but not like bead. And bead is pronounced like lead, but not like lead. All right. So in the last one, you have lead and lead. You have two different words, right? Two different ways to pronounce the same, looks like the same word, but of course, if you pronounce them differently, they're different words. Another example, of course, is read and read. The past of read is read, but it's spelled the same. And how do you know how to pronounce it? The only way to know is in context, right? So if you just showed me L-E-A-D, I wouldn't know if you're talking about lead or lead. But the only way I know how to pronounce it correctly is if I see it in a sentence, and then I'll know which of those pronunciations is correct. So sometimes funny makes you pull your hair out. And well, I've got a lot of hair to pull out. That also could be funny. I haven't had a haircut, a proper haircut, since I think it was August. Right, I'm being super careful and avoiding barbershops. So you can laugh at my hair, and that's perfectly fine because it's healthy. And sometimes I laugh at my hair when I wake up and look in the mirror. So, all right. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, here's an interesting one. Pretty simple sentence. If you read this, it means different things depending on how you read it. Okay, so again, something with pronunciation, but here instead of pronouncing the words differently as far as the vowel sounds and the consonant sounds, we're going to pronounce all the sounds the same. What we're going to change is the intonation, which carries so much meaning in any language. But in the English language, it's so important to use the correct intonation, right? What does intonation means? It's how much stress that you put on a word, right? So I'm going to read this sentence different ways, putting the intonation, the stress on different words, completely changing the meaning of the sentence, right? So if you just read it regular, I never said she stole my money, right? I'm not really I'm not giving stress or emphasis to any of those words. I never said she stole my money. So that's pretty easy to understand. But if you said, I never said she stole my money, well, that means you're implying that somebody else said that she stole my money. And if you said, I never said she stole my money, that means not even once. So you never means you never said, somebody is accusing you of saying that, right? So if somebody, my friend said, oh, but you said she stole my money, I'd say, I never said that, right? So I'm emphasizing that. And if I said, I never said she stole my money, that means, well, maybe you wrote that in a text or an email or something, but you didn't say it. Or if I say, I never said she stole my money, well, then you said somebody else stole my money. Maybe he stole your money. Maybe they stole your money. Maybe you stole my money. Or you could say, I never said she stole my money, right? So that means, okay, I guess she borrowed your money. Maybe she lost your money. Maybe she spent your money. We don't know. But you never said she stole it. I could say, I never said she stole my money. Okay, well, maybe she stole your money. Maybe she stole their money or her money, somebody else's money. And lastly, if I say, I never said she stole my money, well, then maybe you said she stole your shoes or your phone or your hat or anything else. So as you can see, you can change the meaning of a simple sentence very much. All you have to do is accent a word differently and it completely changes. I don't know if that's the same in Russian or in Kyrgyz, but that's something that's really interesting and maybe a little bit funny about the English language. Okay, let's move to the next slide. All right, so some more with pronunciation. If the GH sound is in the word enough is pronounced f, right, like F, and the O in women is pronounced I, right? Strange pronunciations for those letters. And the TI in the word nation is pronounced sh. Then the word fish should be spelled goatee, which no, that's not how you would spell fish in the English language. It almost looks like maybe it would be some African word for fish. But no, unfortunately, one thing about English is that every rule has an exception. And these are all exceptions of the way we pronounce different sounds and and spell the different sounds. So, you know, just a little something to chuckle at, maybe to confuse you, but also to help you understand that, yeah, there's many different ways to spell sounds. And these are just some examples of strange ways to spell common sounds. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right. So here's a little bit of a romantic example for all of you romantics out there. Another kind of a sentence that you can do lots of different things with. It's not the only type of a sentence, but it's just one example of a sentence that you can insert instead of changing the intonation, which you can also do with this sentence. But if you insert the word only anywhere in the following sentence, again, it changes the meaning quite a bit. So let's try this with a few different examples, right? She only told him she loved him, right? She only told him that. What would you think that means? If she only told him that she loved him, that means there's probably something else that she didn't tell him, right? If you stress the only. Or if you said she told only him that she loved him, well, that means there might be somebody else that she loves, but she didn't tell the other person. She only told him. Or if you said she told him only that she loved him, well, maybe she also has other feelings other than love for him. Maybe she loves him and half the time and she hates him half the time. Or if you said she told him that she only loved him, um, oh, I can't remember. Was that the example I just gave? Let's move to the last. She told him that she loved only him. Okay, well that probably means that she actually loves somebody else. If that's what she told him, uh, maybe that's true, maybe that's not. But again, you can change the meaning around a lot just by moving that only. You can do that in lots of other sentences too. So it's a fun way to practice how to change the meaning with just one word. All right, next sentence, or next slide, I should say. All right, here's kind of a funny drawing that I came across. The first picture is, in English, we call that an eggplant, a drawing of a strange looking vegetable. You have eggplants here in the markets. I've seen eggplants. I don't recall how to say eggplant in Russian, but in English, it doesn't have to do with an egg, right? There's no egg involved in an eggplant. I believe it was called an eggplant originally because it semi resembles the shape of an egg, although I've never seen a purple egg. Anyway, there's no eggs involved in eggplants. The next picture, the next drawing is of a pineapple. And pineapple is a very strange word in English. In most other languages, it is, and I think it's the same in Russian, ananas or something very similar. It's related to the Greek, the Latin form of the word, but we don't use that at all. We call it a pineapple, right? But there's no pine involved. Pine is a type of a tree, and there's no apple either involved in a pineapple. So why do we call it pineapple? Not sure. The only other language that deviates a bit from the Latin version is that I know is Spanish, and that's piña. But yeah, we're not here to talk about Spanish, although there's some funny things in the Spanish language too. The next picture is of course a hamburger, and traditionally and even typically, you don't find ham in a hamburger. So that's a bit confusing, right? The meat that you find in a hamburger is beef, and it's what kind of beef? How's the beef prepared? Well, it's hamburger. Hamburger is the meat that you find in a hamburger sandwich, but there's no ham typically. Sometimes you find bacon, but then you would call that a bacon burger or a bacon cheeseburger. A little bit confusing, a little funny. The last picture here is of a guinea pig. All right, but again, it's not from Guinea, right? Which is a country in Africa, and it's not a pig. It's not even related to a pig. It's not in the pig family. It's just called a guinea pig, and I'm not exactly sure why. I don't think specifically to confuse foreigners. I think it was given that name. Probably it has a good story. That's some homework for you. Google that. What is the history of the name guinea pig? Maybe you'll find the answer. All right, next slide. Another fun one with pronunciation. If womb is pronounced womb, and the word tomb is pronounced tomb, then shouldn't bomb be pronounced boom? It seems like if you're looking at patterns, that would be the case. But yeah, no, I'm sorry. Bomb is pronounced bomb, but bombs go boom. So maybe that will help you remember how those two words are pronounced. Next slide. All right. So these are great exercises in pronunciation. And you will see in all of these sentences, there are two words that are written the same, but they're both pronounced differently. Typically, the difference is that one of these words is a noun and one of these words is a verb. So I'm going to go ahead and read these for you. And while I'm reading them, I want you to try to figure out what the rule is. See if you can deduce by me reading them and pronouncing them correctly. What is first of all, what is the difference between how I'm pronouncing these words? And if you can think of the rule, wow, 10 points for you. All right, so let me go ahead and read these and think about how I'm pronouncing the words differently. First one is, the farm was used to produce produce. The farm was used to produce produce, right? So produce is to make, in this case, to grow. Produce means fruits or vegetables or any kind of crop that you would grow on a farm. Second one is, we must polish the Polish furniture. All right, so to polish is to shine, to kind of make clean. Polish, as you see, there's a capital P there. It means it's from the country Poland. The third is, I did not object to the object. Okay, to object means to disagree with, and object is a thing, right? Fourth one is, they were too close to close the door. Oh, sorry, I misread that one, but I think you got the idea. They were too close to the door to close it. All right, so those are the two pronunciations, close and close. Next one is, the wind was too strong to wind the sail. Wind, of course, you know, when it's blowing. The wind is to bring in, like a sail on a sailboat. Those are the big flaps of fabric that catch the wind. Well, if you wind them in, you fold them up so that the wind doesn't catch them. Next one is, upon seeing the tear in the painting, I shed a tear. Tear and tear. Next one is, I had to subject the subject to a series of tests. I had to subject the subject to a series of tests. To subject somebody to something means you make somebody do something, right? And a subject is somebody who is receiving some action. The last one is, the soldier decided to desert his this is even tough for me. The soldier decided to desert his dessert in the desert. All right, so this is confusing because the first two are actually homophones. You pronounce it the same way, although you spell it differently. The soldier decided to desert his dessert in the desert, right? So this one's just, that's what the image is down below, right? We have a popsicle upside down next to a cactus, right? So he decided to, dessert means to leave something somewhere, right? A dessert is a cake, a pie, in this case, ice cream. In the desert, of course, a desert is a very, very hot and dry place. So there you go. Hopefully you've figured out the difference. If there's just a one syllable word, then the sound that changes is a little bit tougher. But on these multi-syllable words, like for example, the first one, the farm was used to produce produce. So the verb is produce, right? I'm putting the accent on the second syllable, produce. And then the noun is produce, and I'm putting the accent on the first syllable. So typically, and of course you all know there's exceptions to all the rules in English, and that's what makes it so fun and funny. But yeah, the second one also, we must polish, the Polish furniture. Now that one is different because you're changing the vowel sound. Polish to Polish. The accent's on the first syllable. So there you go. There's an exception right there. And the other one, I had to subject the subject. Okay, that's part of the rule, right? I had to subject the accent on the second syllable, the subject, which is the noun, to a series of tests. So there you go. Whew, it's even hard for me, right? Sometimes to get the pronunciation right. All right, let's move on to the next slide. I think I might have one or two more. Yeah. So as you can see, the English language is indeed funny. And by funny, sometimes it can be infuriating, but curious and odd and interesting. And sometimes, yes, you can laugh at it. So hopefully it gave you a chuckle. It can be understood through tough, thorough thought, though. I'll read that for you again. As you can see, the English language is indeed funny, but it can be understood through tough, thorough thought, though. Yeah, that's something you should practice. All right, I think that is it for my presentation. Do I have a last slide here? I think I was crediting where I got a lot of these slides, if not all, on the website Board Panda. Check it out. If you search for 67 hilarious reasons why the English language was the worst, you'll see a lot more examples. But these were some that I found the most interesting and hopefully the most useful for you all. So happy to take any questions that anyone has about any of those, about laughing, about anything I talked about, or anything you're curious about.
Thank you very much, Ryan, for the interesting presentation. I now realize that the pronunciation in English language is very difficult. Even the word pronunciation is difficult to pronounce. Yes, it's so interesting. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I think some of our viewers just left their comments regarding some slides on your presentation. Interesting. Hi Ryan, thanks for the presentation. And the first question is, what makes you laugh the most?
Wow. What makes me, as far as all of these things, boy, I really like intonation. You know, one thing I studied in university was I took a whole class on nonverbal communication, and I learned that you can communicate so much through just the way you say things, not the words that you say, but how you say them. You know, and intonation carries so much meaning. You can completely change the meaning of the exact same sentence depending on how you read it. So funny as in laughing, ha ha, sometimes, but I think funny just like really interesting just by how you can completely change the meaning by how you say something, right? So it's, you know, most of the words, especially in the English language, and I think possibly also in Russian and Kyrgyz, the meaning isn't so much in the words. Really, it's in much more how you say it. You know, because your emotions, your feelings are communicated through intonation. You know, how much stress you have in your voice and your pitch and how fast you're speaking, how loud you're speaking, all of those things that you don't think about normally when you're speaking. But even if you don't think about them, you're still using them and to communicate, right? And so most people are just focusing on the words that they use to communicate. But take a step back and look at the big picture. When you communicate, you use a lot more than the words when you're communicating by speech. So that's a funny thing for me.
Thank you, Ryan. You're absolutely right. One of our viewers just, I think it's a comparison, like tongue twister.
Mm.
Interesting.
Yeah. Do you have tongue twisters in Russian or Kyrgyz? Tongue twister. It's a funny way, like she sells she. Oh boy, here I go again. And I'm a native English speaker, but she sells seashells by the seashore. That's like one of the most common tongue twisters you can think of, right?
Yes, I think every language has tongue twister, I
Yeah,
guess.
and it's a great way to learn a language and to learn the pronunciation of another language or your own language.
Yes. Um, Comment or question from YouTube. We are so happy that we have more followers in our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, dear followers. It makes us really happy. The question from Alice. Hello, Ryan. Thank you for such interesting session. What is your favorite, the most funny English word?
Wow, what is the funniest English word? Well, there's a lot of words to choose from, let me tell you. Well, one word that my kids like, and I don't even know if it's a real word, but it's one of perhaps the longest words in the English language, and of course, it's from Mary Poppins, but it's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, and it's it's kind of one of those just silly nonsense words. I have a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and there's a lot of silly nonsense that happens in our house. But that's a word that they have been using a lot recently, and we get a lot of laughs from that word. So
Funny.
that's a word. If you haven't heard it, you should learn it.
No, no. I mean,
Yeah, even in Russian, there's a version of supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in Russian. I don't know if you've heard the word, but we have a device that's it's Amazon Echo. It's connected to the internet, and you can ask her to play music and do different things. Anyway, they ask her, "What's supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in Russian?" And then she says, "Supercalifragilistic," and then it goes off and goes into like completely Russian pronunciation. It's hilarious. And they ask her, "What is it in Chinese?" And it's not even super in there. It's just completely, off the charts. So apparently this word does exist in other languages. So
yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this funny story, Ryan. So I just realized that my favorite word or just confusing word is eggplant. Even it's really funny even in Russian language. So interesting why it's eggplant.
yeah,
Yeah.
doesn't taste like egg.
Uh-huh. So one more. Yes, I can't understand when US and British people speak with each other. What should I do?
Wow. It's interesting because I think if I'm speaking to someone with a really strong British accent or with any strong accent, I probably don't use as much slang because I'll think they probably won't understand the slang that I use. And then people with a very strong British accent, wow, it's very difficult for me to understand. But if they're speaking to me, hopefully they'll be a little bit compassionate and not use strange slang words that I don't understand, and they'll probably try to speak a little slower and clearer. There's some movies from Scotland, for example. Train Spotting is one that comes to mind, and it's in English, but the English is so hard to understand, even for native English speakers, that they have to subtitle it. So if you ever see a movie from Scotland, you're not going to be able to understand it unless you read the subtitles because it's so difficult. And I think it's a good question, and it depends on what you're more used to, right? Do you hear more American English? Do you hear more British English? I would say whatever you're more used to, try, seek out some music or movies or speech from the other place that you're not as comfortable understanding, and try to focus on understanding that. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Thank you, Ryan, for your advice. I think maybe it comes from, by practice. Yes.
Right. Training your ear.
Yes. Oh, nice moment. I just noticed that the words love and laugh are very similar. The pronunciation is similar. It's so interesting to find such kind of words.
Yes.
One more question, you too. Could you please share with some funny stories related to English language?
Whoa. Well, just going back to the previous comment, I was thinking, because there's a sign that you see that people hang on the wall, or there's posters, or maybe a bumper sticker that you put on your car. But live, laugh, love. Three words that do sound similar, but it's like basically, love and laughing are very, very important to life in general. I think it's kind of a beautiful, very, very short saying. I don't know if you consider it a saying, but just to connect one more words to love and laugh is live, right? Live, love, and laugh. And because without laughing and without love, is life really worth living?
Yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
I don't know if those words all sound similar in Russian or Kyrgyz, but they go together, both phonetically, how they sound, but also the meaning in English.
Yeah. Thank you, Ryan.
Mhm.
One more question. What does it mean to love in English, I guess, and how it can helps you to improve English language skills? Mhm.
What does it mean to laugh? Well, I think the question is maybe to laugh about English, right? That's kind of the theme for today. We're laughing about the English language. I also think, it depends on your attitude. There's a lot of things about the English language, or about any foreign language that you're trying to learn, that is frustrating, right? Like the one picture I had, the guy was pulling your hair out. It can be really frustrating, because all the rules have exceptions, and everything is confusing, and it doesn't make sense. It's not intuitive. It doesn't work like your language works. So you can choose to be frustrated, but that doesn't help, because that just makes you tense. And when you're tense, you don't learn as well. So back to laughing helps you relax. It also changes your attitude about things. So sometimes something that is frustrating for you in life, it can also be funny if you look at it a different way. And if you change your attitude and consider it funny, it relaxes you. And when you relax, I think it helps you absorb the information, and it helps you learn better. So I think things that you're trying to learn, could be a language, could be math, it could be a subject, could be anything new. I think your attitude about that thing really affects how well you learn it. So laughing about things, I think, is a really good attitude. Laugh about yourself as well. Don't take yourself very seriously. Another saying is, I don't remember who, but it was a quote like, laugh about yourself before you give anybody else a chance to laugh about you, right? So don't take yourself seriously, because life's too short.
Yes, this is wonderful recommendation. Thank you, Ryan. Oh, one more question. Why is the National Let's Laugh Day celebrated on March 19th?
That is an amazing question. I also had the same question. I asked Mr. Google, and Mr. Google does not know. Actually, I didn't dig very deep, to be honest with you. Also, complete disclosure, I was not aware of Let's Laugh Day until this year. So this is not a traditionally celebrated holiday, but as soon as I heard about it, I said, I love it already. I'm sad I haven't been celebrating it my whole life. And I do not know the history of it, but please, that's some more homework for you. In English, search the history of Let's Laugh Day. And I think, it's considered a national holiday, so it's an American holiday. I'm guessing it's not that old, but that's all I got. I can't answer your question. I'm sorry, but now that you know about it, hopefully you celebrate every year and every day. Really, why just once a year?
Yes, thank you very much, Ryan. I think it was our last question. People will watch it later for sure. Thank you very much. It was an incredible session, very funny. We learned so many things about English language. I thought that English language was for me kind of very, I mean, it was easy for me, but now I see it from the different angle. And it's really, I mean, in some moments it's very difficult. So thank you very much, Ryan. And also, I want to say thank you to our viewers for your active participation, for your great questions and comments. Thank you very much, everybody. And happy Let's Love Day. So just celebrate it not only today, but every day should be
Yeah,
Love Day. So
definitely.
thank you very much. Yes. So bye bye, everyone. Have a great evening and see you in our next sessions.
Bye. Don't forget to laugh. Oh,